Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse, and today we're going to keep working on our homepage. So I just finished turning that card that we had made on Friday. Was it Friday? Yeah. Anyway, so I just finished turning that card into a component. So that's what you can see on the screen here. Well, probably can't see it right now, font's not big enough, but make the font a bit bigger. We could see that we have this profile card now, and so we've replaced a lot of the code with this profile card. Now this still is a lot, but once we put this data into a different format, maybe import it in, then it wouldn't really be that much. And at some point I would imagine this data would be populated from GraphQL. But for right now, we're going to hard code this in just so we can get things ready for my presentation. First presentation is Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. So over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be presenting this website to a lot of different people here at the university that I work for. So I need to get that ready. And the launch date potentially is now pushed back a little bit. I still would like to launch it on time, which would be by the end of the month, but having to present to all these people is really going to slow that down. So I'm still shooting for then, but realistically it may be later. We'll see. I did have a question here. Michael says, I thought Jesse tweeted he was sick and wasn't going today. I tweeted that yesterday, so I was sick over the weekend, but I'm feeling better today. And let's see. Hey Anna, how's it going? And hey everybody in the live chat. So I'm gonna start out. Let me give you the link to start with so you all can see this. The link to the repository with the code is in the description to this video. And now you can actually see the site as we're working on it with that ngrok link. So ngrok, if you haven't used it before, heard about it, ngrok is an awesome little tool, and it lets you share a site that you're working on locally with anybody online who you give the link to. So it really helps us here on the stream, and we were given full access to an unlimited amount of users using the link at one time, which is really awesome. So check out ngrok if you get a chance. I've found it to be very useful, and I'm probably going to use it for maybe one of these meetings. Okay. Alright, so first thing we need to do then is let's commit what I've done and push that to the repo so you all can see that, and then we can move on. So let me commit that first, and then I see a few more questions in the live chat that would be good to address first before we start any coding. So let me commit, and then I'll answer the questions. Alright, to get status. Oops, can't spell. There we are. Can I still not spell? Oh no, that one worked. Let me know if the font's too small as well. I can never tell from my screen if it's too small or not. Okay, so pages and profile. Yep, that's exactly what I expected to change, which is good. So let's do git add, and we're going to add that little dot afterwards, which means we're going to add everything. And then we'll do yarn cm. This is something we have set up for our project in particular. You wouldn't normally do this unless you've set up your project this way, but if you do want to contribute to this project, when you go to commit, type yarn cm instead of a normal git commit, and then you'll have these options to be able to more properly format your commit. So let's add. It's not fixed to meaning this. I guess we'll add feature. Alright. Profile card component. No breaking changes. Alright. So this needs to. Whoa. Oops. I guess I forgot to remove some of this, which is a common mistake, at least for me. So let's try this. What's the command? Is Nikki watching right now? Nikki told me about a command I could use to not have to type this all in again, and now I can't remember what it was.
That is the turkey.
What was it? Let's just try yarn cm. Can I get no? Retry, that's it, the retry flag. Thank you, Harshit. Is that 2 dashes? Yeah. And thanks, Sneaky. That's so much nicer than having to type it all again. Alright, awesome. So we'll get push. And now that's available on GitHub. So y'all can check out how we pulled out what we had done last week, and now it's its own component. And all the styles, of course, are in this component as well, so we're able to remove some styles from this main index file. Let's see. Oh, there was an error. I didn't catch that. Let's see. Oh, okay. So what do we have for the link? Profile link. That's odd. Oh, 58. That's odd that the commit went through even though we had an error. I thought it wouldn't go through. So why unknown props found, class name, and link at profile card 58? We should not have a class name unless somehow this is being passed down because it's in card actions. Okay, Harshit said it's not an error, just a warning. Okay, if I have to guess what that error or warning is about, I'm going to say potentially, since we have this link inside the card actions, something's going on with this. Yeah, that's what I'm guessing, that Material UI is attaching something in here, in particular class name, because we're not, obviously we're not trying to put class name on the link component. So with styles, card actions, okay. Yeah, So for now, I guess I can live with that warning. Let me double check. Yeah, everything's displaying properly. So I'm going to live with that warning for now. I would like to sort that out at some point before we launch. But I need to get this looking good, so I can't really get sidetracked by that right now because we're running out of time to update the look here. And speaking of the look, let me pull this over. For those of you who, for whatever reason, can't get on ngrok, this is how we're looking now. Let me make it smaller since we're primarily looking at the mobile view. This is that component that we had made. I asked my boss about the italic, which is what we had gone over last week, and he said he preferred this instead of the italic, but he would like some type of like icon that's quotation mark, or potentially even like a watermark thing behind this, that's a quotation mark. So we'll probably put that in. That's not really a priority right now. If anyone wants to, try to see how that would look, feel free to open a pull request. We'll check it out. But I'm not going to spend any more time on this component right now. What I can do, and I probably won't do this on the stream, we'll move on to a different component, but now that we have this component, we can put in what we want. I'm going to add, a faculty profile and alumni profile and throw in some different content, and I'll be able to use that to display the home page at my meetings. Alright, so now let's work on this events. I know this is an important section to my boss, the events, and then the news, which, did we even make that? No, we didn't. So let's start out with this events one, and we'll work on it. In particular, we're definitely going to want, I think the images need to be a bit bigger. That's, at least for me, this is really hard to see something that small. It would work maybe if our events were just maybe somebody's face and it took up most of their, the area, but that's not how the events are going to be. And also, we need some sort of description, I would think. Since we're talking about events here, it might not be a bad idea to put a date. Now, eventually, we're probably going to want to connect this with some type of, event service. So maybe Eventbrite, maybe just a Google Calendar. I don't know. So the data for these events is not going to come from our WordPress CMS. It's probably going to come from somewhere else. We don't need to worry about that right now. For the presentation, we'll just hard code some stuff. Let's see. Alright, I did say I wanted to address one of these questions in here before we coded. Let's see. Where was it? Oh, okay, Alexander asked, do you have any projects that we can work on with you? Yeah, pretty much any of the projects that are in the FUS Marcom GitHub organization, which you can get the link to this project here, and then from there you can easily get to the organization and see our other projects. But pretty much any of those projects you can work on. Check out the issues for each project, and that'll give you some ideas on what still needs done. Or if you notice something that really looks broken, you could bring up an issue or open a pull request, and potentially that could get merged in. Pretty much every pull request for the most part does get merged in. Occasionally it will need some work before it's ready to be merged in, but I try to work with everybody. So if you're nervous about submitting pull requests to projects, these projects that we work on for this stream are a great place to start, because I'll help you out as much as I can to work on your pull request. All right. So let me get started. We're going to use this Pomodoro timer. Go for 25 minutes. I do need to make sure the stream, we can go maybe like an hour and 15 minutes total with this stream. So I have some other stuff. I have to go somewhere a little bit later, and then after that I have a meeting with my boss, so the afternoon is going to be very full. Alright, so let's check out this component. Oops. So we're going to be in the index.js component, and that'll be in the pages folder. So in the pages folder, index, and now I'm going to shut this because we'll mostly be working in here at first. So what we'll do is we'll edit it directly in here, get it looking like we want it to look, and then maybe later on, probably not on the stream, maybe on the stream, we'll see. We'll turn it into its own component and make sure that it's customizable enough that we could use it for multiple things. Alright, so right now we're using this built-in list that is part of Material UI. We could keep using it. Sorry. So let's kind of see what the limits are of this component, and see if we can work with this to make it look the way we want it to look. And if not, then we could try to build something else. So let's go back and just work within DevTools for a few minutes. Oops. So let me adjust this a bit. Okay. So we're up here. So the first thing I'd like to adjust then is this image. Yeah, so this container for the image currently is, the images are 40 by 40, and that's a bit too small. Let's see if we can go 60. Just see how that looks. Whoops. Okay, a bit bigger. Not too bad. Also I want to check this out on my phone. So we really want this to look good on a phone. If you need to, I'm going to be constantly kind of going back to my phone. So if you can check this out and check out that ngrok link on a phone, that would be ideal. And I'm just going to copy this and send it to myself. So that I don't have to type it out on my phone. Alright. Okay. So now I can see this on my phone. And obviously the changes I just made aren't going to be visible on my phone because I just did in DevTools. But this gives me an idea of what those images look like on the phone, and they do look way too small even on a phone. Alright. Let me know if you're getting a lot of weird noise from my phone being close to my mic. If you are, I'll try to do a better job of holding my phone farther away. Michael's asking, why not use the responsive mode in DevTools? I do use the responsive mode sometimes, but it just doesn't look the same as a phone, right? And to get that real feeling of like the scroll and touching and stuff, it just doesn't give the same feedback. So I like to actually look at it on my phone too. You can also, I mean, it doesn't have to be ngrok. So, you know, potentially I could do this. Where are we at? Application. No, that's not it. I can't remember where. I guess I'm not going to do it because I can't remember where to go to set it up. Is it network? No. Performance. I don't remember at all where to go to set this up. Does anybody remember where to go to use a phone with DevTools? Open localhost 4040. Alright, let me check this out. Oh, cool. Thanks, Harshit. I didn't realize that you could get a nice UI like this with ngrok. That's pretty cool. So I can see all the requests that are going through right now. Awesome. Anyway, the 3-dot menu. You used to be able to do... there we are, remote devices. Yeah, I just haven't used this for a while, so couldn't remember how I used to use this. Okay, so let's port forward. So 3000 to 88. All right, cool, that works. So I should be able to go then to. So for you all, you can use ngrok, of course, but for me, since my phone is directly connected here, I should be able to just go to port. Well, localhost. Uh, 8080. And I can see the site here, so I can actually see it. And the advantage of doing it this way is that changes I make in DevTools will show up automatically on my phone. So anyway, just for those of you who want to do something like that when you're developing, then you can plug in your phone. You need to enable that. So enable remote debugging, which you can. There's documentation linked here in DevTools. But so you go up here to your little menu and then go to more tools and remote devices. There's a lot more tools here now than I remember there being the last time I checked this. Maybe I need to read those release notes more. Those what's new things here. So I always just skip over them because I'm usually in the middle of something. Okay, anyway, so I still think this is too small. Actually, that's weird. I thought it would automatically reflect changes on my phone, but I guess it's not. That's really weird. Oh, you know what? I got to open up another inspector. That's why. Okay, so here's the inspector that I need to change for my phone. So maybe I won't do it like this because only I'll be able to see the changes right now, unless I guess unless I show my screen, which I don't really want to go through all that right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna stick with ngrok on my phone, so it'll be the same as you all have anyway, which might be better for the stream. So if I was developing by myself and not doing a stream, then I do recommend using DevTools and opening up that second DevTools window, and then you can see the changes live, right there in your phone. It's a lot faster. For now, I'm just going to do some changes here, and since I'm not, here we go. See, we'll switch over to this mode. Where are we at? Let's just pick a phone, iPhone 4. Okay, so we'll switch over here. So it's kind of, simulating a mobile device. And then once we get some values that look like they'll work, then we'll actually put them into the React component. And when I save, then it'll update in ngrok, so then we can all see it on our phones. Whoa, let's see. Which set? Harshit got timed out by the bot. That's funny. I guess we have a bot now that stops people from spamming caps. So, so all of Harshit's messages got deleted. Oh no. Oh well. Okay, so watch out for that now, everyone. I suppose we have a bot in here now. That might have been put in, so since we're doing that 24 hours a day music stream, I guess that was probably put in to stop people from spamming in that channel, so, or on that stream, I'm assuming. So anyway, so no caps. Okay, so this is a little bit bigger. This might be too big. Yeah, that's too big. Let's drop it down then. Let's go to 80. Alright, we'll try 80. And we'll go over here. I think pictures. Alright, list item is the class that we used. So let's go up here to our list item. If you're not familiar with React, there are lots of different ways to do styles. This is one of the ways. So we have a JavaScript object, and we're putting our styles inside that object. So it's very similar to CSS, but you can see the format is that of an object and not, your normal CSS format. So where's my list item? Here button, white card, avatar. Did I read that wrong? Classes list item. That's odd. So we have that class, but I'm not seeing it up here. Grid item. That is what I want, right? List item, avatar. Or would it be avatar? Maybe we need that on the avatar. Do we have styles coming in here? No, we're not adding any additional CSS. So let's try to put a class right here on this avatar. Class name. And let's just call it avatar. Oh, you know what? It looks like we're already adding some classes somewhere else. Let's find it. There we are. Okay, so we can put class names right there on the avatar. Alright. So that should work then. So let's go ahead and put it on a few more of these. Let's see. Avatar. So I'm not worried about the formatting. We have auto format on save here, so we should be fine. Avatar. So I'm using that class, that CSS class here as the key, and then the value is going to be an object that has key value pairs, and the key value pairs are going to reflect what we normally do in CSS. So in this case, we're just going to do width height, and so I'm going to copy this to save time. And you could see we've already done some things with breakpoints here. We may end up doing that again, but for now I'm just worried about the mobile view. So let's take this down to 80 and save it. Oops, forgot a comma. There we are. And they don't like that comma there. Okay. Oops. I thought I fixed that. Right? Try to refresh. There we are. Just didn't refresh automatically. Okay. That looks alright. I want to pull some data from actual events that we have. So resources. I'm going to move this over on the other screen so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth. And I'm going to grab some events that we actually have going on right now. Let's see. So let's go back here and put in class name list primary event 1, where we have our primary text. We're going to say in crisis American higher education, and we'll put in. These are the actual events that are appearing on the home page of the website right now. All right, so copy. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's see how this looks with actual titles. Okay, not too bad. This definitely needs to be larger. I mean, the font size needs to be larger. This is too small, especially if these are the titles. So I'm gonna just hard code some fonts in here just to see what we want. Let's try 16 pixels, which I guess that was the default anyway. 16. I wonder. I really don't like the way this looks with the titles on a small screen here. Now, I mean, this is a very narrow phone. Most phones aren't going to be this narrow, but still, maybe at some point when the screen's so small, we just don't include the images at all for events. Or we'll have to come up with some other thing, because I don't want to go very much smaller for these images. Then it'll be very hard to even see anything. The other alternative is, if for events, let's say we don't use images at all, but instead we have a date. Actually, the main site right now does not use images for the events. They just have a little date icon. Maybe we should do that. We could potentially make the component so that if an image is passed to it, then we do display an image. Otherwise, it doesn't display the image. So we'll still have a lot of flexibility and be able to reuse this component. But in the case of events, we'll be able to show more info. How does that sound? Let me check my time. All right, about 3 minutes. I want to see what feedback you all have about what I just explained. All right, I am checking this out on my phone. It doesn't look that bad on my phone, and this is still with the smaller font size, but the font size for the title is just so much smaller than the images. It doesn't go together. So we definitely, if we want to have bigger images, we need to have a bigger font size, and that just won't allow us to have very long titles without it looking weird. So let me read off some of the suggestions here, some of your thoughts on this. Nikki says, what about a background image with text on top? Yeah, we could think about that. You know what? This might be a really good time to check out how things like this are done in Material UI and other circumstances. So maybe we'll take a look then. Not right now, because we got a break coming up. So I'll take a 5-minute break. I'll go to the lab chat, answer some questions, and then when we come back, maybe we'll take 5 minutes or so. We'll look at the material design documentation and just see how they do lists and get some examples. Hopefully, maybe we get some examples even of, kind of news or events. Let's see how it's done. Yeah, there's probably some examples like that in the material design documentation already. Peter says, do people even still have iPhone 4S? I don't really know. That was just the first thing on the list, so I clicked it. But, I mean, I think it's better to... So, this is, I believe, the narrowest phone you can have is 320 pixels. So, it's good to look at it there. Because if we can get it to look okay there, it's probably still going to look okay on a slightly larger phone. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just take the break now, or start the timer for the break now. I'm going to scroll up to the top and get through as many questions and comments as I can. So if you have a question or comment, please put it in the live chat now. Okay, John Hansen said, I'd like to see the border on the quote to be a bit more transparent. She's talking about this quote. Yeah, we could try a little bit more transparent. At this point, though, I'm going to try to resist the temptation to make small changes like that just because of time. So I'm going to try to put off those changes for later, for after I have some of these presentations. Because if I can get, right now, if I get a few components to be exactly how I want it, like 100% done, and I go to present it, it's going to look like it's not finished. But if I get all the components, let's say 90% finished, it's going to look like it's finished. Most people won't even worry about details. Let's see. Anna says, does typing speed matter for coding? Harshit says absolutely, but tools like smart code editors help. It says code is all about typing logical stuff. I would add as well. Does typing speed matter? I would say it's a little bit different. So if you go to take a normal typing test for typing speed, I think it's different than what a coder would type. So the reason it's different is, so normally as a coder, you're hitting different keys than most people would hit, right? We don't do a lot of data entry where we're entering, long strings of text, right? We're grabbing data from APIs and things, all right? So the keys that we hit are in odd places on the keyboard. Not only that, but we do have a lot of help from editors, right? So we just need to type in the first few letters of something, and then we hit tab, and we're good to go. So traditional typing speed, I don't think is that important for coding. So, traditionally you have a paragraph, you see how fast you can type the paragraph or something like that, and it's all just, normal words. The only odd characters you would have are if there's a quotation mark, question mark, exclamation point, period. Okay, it's not really a big deal. But when coding, it's almost reversed. Is you're using mostly special characters and very little, strings of normal words. So I would say what could make up for, if you're a slow typer, what could definitely make up for it and make you even faster than a fast typer at coding is if you're very knowledgeable about all the keyboard shortcuts that you can use with your particular editor. So if you are good with something, let's say like Emmet, which allows you to write large amounts of HTML very quickly with just a few keystrokes, then you could definitely code faster than somebody who may be a fast typer but doesn't take advantage of any shortcuts like that. So my answer to that question of does typing speed matter for coding is maybe. It depends. It depends on what you're doing and what you take advantage of in terms of what editors can do. So actually there was a question about this somewhere. I can't remember where it was. It was somewhere online. There was a very similar question, and someone was being kind of rude about about it. Was it on? I think it was on the FreeCodeCamp forum. So there was one response on the forum that was, I think, kind of really made it seem like speed was very, very important, and I didn't agree. So anyway, but that's my opinion on the subject of typing. Let me see. Looks like my timer is up, and I got through most of the questions. Okay, there are a few follow-up comments, I think, with the speed thing. Okay, so Nikki says, I hate my Azerty keyboard as opposed to the QWERTY keyboard. So that's the arrangement of the keys. Saying the special characters are not visible on my keyboard, so it doesn't help. I never realized that. Inna says, thanks for the answer. You're welcome, Inna, no problem. All right. Inna had one more follow-up question. What are the top skills needed to get a front-end developer role? HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Yeah, you're going to need that no matter what as a front-end developer. And then depending on the job, you might need to know a framework. So framework or library, right? So maybe the job you want, they work with Angular. It would be good if you knew some Angular. Same thing for React or Ember or Vue or just jQuery. But you can't go wrong with being good with just regular JavaScript, HTML, and CSS for sure. Now, in terms of like other skills, definitely need to be able to write reliable code. Being able to write tests is a big plus as well. Harshit, I know I don't write tests very much at all, so before you say anything, I realize that I'm not the best at this, but I recognize it's important. I'm trying to change, right? But that's a big thing. Being able to teach yourself new things quickly is very, very important. I would much rather hire somebody as a developer who can demonstrate to me that they've been able to pick up new things and produce like production-ready code quickly than somebody who happens to be an expert right now, but they're very resistant to change and don't like to learn new things, right? Because everything's always going to change. If they're an expert at whatever the big thing is right now, it doesn't mean that they're going to be an expert at whatever the big thing is tomorrow. So anyway, that's what I would look for if I'm hiring a developer. In terms of their code, you know, you can prove that you know what you're doing from your projects, right? From what you have in GitHub. It's a little bit harder to prove the other things about being able to learn quickly. I mean, there are some ways to do it, right? I actually like to see on a developer's GitHub profile that they're doing tutorial courses as well. So I like to see a mix of real projects for clients, or at least like side projects that they're doing, and then tutorial stuff. Even if they don't want to put it on their GitHub, I'd still like to see it on their resume. And then if I can see like they did this boot camp, let's say to learn React, and then I've looked at the dates and said, okay, well, like they graduated from this boot camp and then pretty much immediately had this production-ready React app going. To me, that signals, wow, they learned enough in that short amount of time to be able to build that. That's impressive. So there are some ways from the side of someone who's hiring that I try to tell if somebody is a quick learner. So kind of keeping that in mind if you're on the other side and trying to get a job, you know, I would say don't be afraid to list that you've taken a course. Okay, I mean, be selective, right? Maybe you might not want to say like, you know, hey, last month I took the Intro to HTML course. Not a big deal, but let's say if you took the Advanced React course from wherever, that might seem more impressive. Like, hey, you're trying to learn more, right? Anyway, hopefully that makes sense and is decent advice. If anyone disagrees, please let me know in the live chat. Okay, so let's go back. Let me take a second to I got a bunch of messages while I was talking. I just kept hearing it buzz. I just want to make sure it's nothing work related that I need to handle. All right, I think this is not for me. I'm a part of a team that handles like digital marketing stuff, but they're launching something today that's really important. But I'm just kind of was like more of consulting on that project. So I think most of the messages are about that, but I don't have any direct responsibility. Yeah, so that's it. So sorry, I don't want to take the focus away from the stream, but I just want to be ready in case they need help. Okay, let me check the time. All right, we're still good. I think we have time for one more Pomodoro session, which I'll start right now. And then I'm going to keep an eye on the live chat. If I notice there's a lot of questions in the live chat, I might cut the Pomodoro session short so that I can get to all the questions. But we'll see. Hopefully I am not so focused I forget about the time. All right, so let's go into the events. The last thing that we were talking about was kind of switching up how we do this. And let's see. Yeah, let's take out this image and then add in a date. Yeah, I think that would be better, to add in a more prominent date and not have images for events. Okay, I do see a few more questions. If you're just joining and asking a question, just hold on. After, in about 25 minutes, I'm going to go back and answer all the questions. So if you just be patient for a little while longer, I'll definitely get to your questions. All right, let me get rid of this. Give us some more space. Yeah, so I'm going to go in here then and take out these list items. Oops, not the whole thing. I'm just going to take out these avatars, which it should be the same. Yep, they're all the same, so I can remove them all at once and save it. Now let's see what it's going to look like. There we are. Okay, so now it looks like this, which is also not ideal. Oh, you know what? I forgot what we were going to do. I was going to go to the material design documentation. Design material.io. So material.io is a material design website. Let's go to our guidelines and let's see if they have a list. Here we are, lists. So we actually have two different lists. We have a grid list as well. So let's just check out the regular list for right now. See, these are the lists that actually, they do have this circular image here. And as I said earlier, it works really well with like portraits, right? So just somebody's face and maybe a little bit of their upper body. But with larger, images, like the type of images you might want to have with an event. So maybe you don't want somebody's face. If somebody is a speaker giving a talk, yeah, that's fine. But not all the events are like that. So, it might not be bad to have an icon. If the events fell into certain categories, we could have maybe an icon for each category. I guess that's an option. All right, see, you see how we have here, this is what I was thinking that would work, is if we had a title, short description, and then some sort of image. But I'm just not so sure that we have the space for that. We could, we do have more padding than we really need right here. That could give us a little bit more space. Michael said it's G Fuel time. Hey, I happen to have some G Fuel ready right here. So let me shake it. If you don't shake it up after it's been sitting, it's not as good. So just a pro tip for you there if you want to use G Fuel. All right. Nikki says the grid list and material design looks cool. All right, let's check out the grid list. So I don't want to spend too much time on the list, so we'll give it just a little scroll here just to see what else is here. All right, this is maybe more what we'll end up with. something like this without the image. All right, now let's check the grid list. If you haven't checked through this documentation before, I highly recommend it. If you're at all interested in material design, it's just really really useful. Oh, okay. Here's the grid list. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see. I mean, if we do this, we can't do image only. We would need to have the title. Maybe something more like this. But I suspect that my boss will want more an area for text. You know, this just really doesn't give us that much space. And if we did add more text, it would cover, you know, pretty much the whole image with text. So, let's see. Yeah. I really do like this look, though. I want to keep this in mind in case there's somewhere else on the site where we could utilize something like this. I think that's nice. It will require, though, that we have images. You know, you couldn't really use this if only some of what you're putting in here has a good image. Okay. Check this list controls. Oh, okay. Yeah, don't need that. Actually, if we were to have some sort of control on the list, what I would want to have is like something where you could quickly add this to a calendar. That would be useful. Potentially, if we can't work it in here, we could have it so that when you click, it takes you to the event page, gives you more info, and then you can add it to your calendar there. But really, it saves users from having to go to another page if we could put it in here. So I think it should be in there if we can. So let's think about this for a second in terms of how much space we're using. When we're on a screen this small, do we want to keep the cards, like fully have the cards, or do we want to change it so that, you know, we're completely full width, and we're still going to have to separate sections out somehow? I don't know. Maybe we should take a look. You know, see what I'm saying here? Like, let's say we were in an app, right? There's no cards here. These aren't cards. No, I mean, this is within a list. Niki's asking about icons for material. Actually, let's take a look at the icons. Oops. Material design icons. Alright, so there are a ton of free material design icons. I wonder which link. Alright, so let's look at the calendar. Okay, so date. Yeah, there's nothing in there. Those ones aren't really working. Add. Alright, there's a nice add to shopping cart. There's an add an alert, add a notes. Yeah, but there's not already an add to calendar. Yeah, so we'd have to think about it. Yeah, let's see. So, I mean, some apps, it's actually not even consistent, because some Google apps that are using material design have cards within it. So I'm thinking of, you know, maybe like the newsstand app. So if you have material, or I'm sorry, an Android phone, and you check out the newsstand app, there are cards. I mean, they change this somewhat frequently, so it could be different. But like the first set of cards, the briefing, is one large card that's basically a list, which kind of matches up with something that we do here. And actually, this format's not bad for news and events if we switched it up and used a similar format. That's really interesting. I'm sorry, I need to like show you all this this format. Alright, so basically there's two different formats they're using in the newsstand app for displaying basically an image, some icons, and a yeah, actually it's just, no, some of them have a title and they have a description. It looks like if there's a long title, they don't have the description. Yeah, so some do, some don't. Alright, but they have two different formats. So let me try to explain this. So basically at first they do have a card, and it does have padding on the side, so they have a large card like this. They have the title here, but then they have the image here and a few icons, actually 3 icons underneath. One for sharing, one's a little menu icon, and the other one is to bookmark it. And then they have a optional description, it looks like, under here. And then each item is separated by like a horizontal line here, very light gray horizontal line. And then as you scroll down, it switches over, and they have these cards that are full width, but they still have the separation and this material design style shadow between them. But they are full width, and they're more like this, where they have the image up here, and then it's a title, and then text. And then the icons for those cards are down at the bottom here. So actually, either one of those formats will work. Once again, though, I think it's just a question of, will we have appropriate images that will work for something like that? And for the events, currently we don't. So I don't really know. I don't know if we have the content to back up that type of design. I wonder if it'll show Google. Did I misspell newsstand? I did. $2016. Alright, it's always dangerous just clicking on the image tab, but you never know it's going to come up. But I just want to show you all. Alright, this isn't exactly what I'm seeing. This looks like maybe an older version, but it's somewhat similar. Yeah, actually, that's definitely an older version. Let's see. This looks newer. Yeah, okay. So this is that first section here where it's one big card. This is what I was thinking might work for us. So what do y'all think about something like this for the events? And actually, if we don't have an image, this section here could maybe just have the month and the day. Maybe maybe month and day. I don't know if we could fit in the time in here and it still have it look right. Yeah. I mean, we definitely have to abandon some of what's already there in the list and kind of redo it, which, I mean, we've done that before, so it'll be a little bit more work, but this might work. I mean, obviously we don't need all these icons and we don't need this part here. And we don't need the numbers either. It looks like the horizontal line doesn't actually extend all the way out to the sides. I actually like that. I like that it doesn't extend out. Alright, let me see. 8 minutes. I said I was going to try to keep a watch on the live chat to see how many questions we have. Okay, not a ton of questions. Let's try to do just a little bit of work here on this to make it look. So I'm not getting a lot of feedback on what you all think about this. So I'm going to move ahead since there's no strong objections to it. I'm going to go ahead with something like this, not exactly, but something like this. Okay. I'm going to move this to my other screen so I can keep an eye on it. And this is kind of an advantage, I think, of using something like material design, is it's so widely used that you can get kind of inspiration from other places about how to handle certain content types. So you're not completely on your own. So, and I don't mean like copying other people. You know, you'll see whenever we make this, it's not going to look exactly the same, you know, but it definitely helps to be able to look at something else and say, oh, okay, I like how they did it this way, or, you know, maybe this will work for what we're doing. And you usually have to adapt it, but it just kind of helps when you're stuck and you don't really have an idea for how you want to do something. Alright, so I'd like to use as much of what we already have as possible, as long as it doesn't make it too difficult. Okay, not bad. Let's switch over. Maybe we can switch over that avatar section to the other side. Let's try that first. Alright, let me just back up here a second. Let's get rid of this here, and then we'll move it. Where were we going with this? Here, right? Yeah. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, cool. Easy enough. We don't want it to be a circle, right? So let's see, where do we have? Just want to see where we actually have the border radius. I guess it's on the container. Yeah. All right, so we'll change the border radius here. And so on our class's avatar, which we set a width and height, let's also set border radius of 0. We don't need the quotation mark since it's just a number, but this may or may not work. We'll see, since it looks like they define, Material UI defined each border radius separately. I'm not sure if we'll override that. Oh, it did work. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so we do have now a square image, which is great. That's what I wanted. And I do think we need, just overall on a smaller screen, we need less padding. So we may as well do that now. Let's figure out where we're putting that padding in and what component. Okay, so maybe on that grid. Let's check. Grid item fix is the class. So let's check out our grid item fix. Okay, and we do have a 16 pixel padding. So it looks like we can grab this and reuse it here. And this is basically like using a media query, but this comes built in into Material UI. So it's a little odd. Doesn't look like a normal media query. Let's add padding of, let's do padding left. Let's see if we want to keep the 16. I wonder if we want to keep it this much space in between or not. So this ends up being, yeah, I don't think we want that much space, because since we're doing 16 all around, we end up getting 32 pixels between. I think I'd feel better with 16 pixels in between, so let's change that. At least on the small screen, let's change it. So let's drop this down, padding all around, just to 8 pixels. And that should give us what we want there. Okay, see, so now there's a total of 16 pixels in between, and now we have a much more slim 8 pixels on each side. So that gives us a bit more space. So it's still enough that we can see it's a card, and we can definitely see separation between cards. But yeah, I like that. Let me know if you don't like that or you have a different suggestion for that, but I think that's nice. There's no sense in taking up extra space when you already have a really small screen. Let me check the time. Okay. That's all I'm going to do for now. We're almost out of time for this Pomodoro session, and I did notice some questions, so I want to get to the questions. So let me commit. So I want you all to be able to see these changes. So let me commit this now, and let's say git add. And we'll do yarn cm, and really I didn't do the biggest change that I made. Really was the change that I just did there in changing the padding of the card. So that's what I'm going to put on the commit message. The next commit message will probably be all those changes that we're making. because we didn't really do that much. We just changed the position of the picture within the events card. All right, so let's see. No. All right, we'll probably get that. Yeah, we're going to get that error again. Warning. Sorry, I keep saying it's an error, but it's a warning. If it was an error, we wouldn't be able to commit. Origin. Okay. All right, so now everything should be available on GitHub. The ngrok server is still up, so you can still check it out if you need to. Let me scroll up and try to answer as many questions as I can. Hopefully I have enough time to get through all of them. Let's see. Simranjit says, how is your Pixel phone's performance? I've been very happy with my Pixel. It's the Pixel XL, Pixel 1 XL, and it's been great. There are some things that are weird, but I'm not sure if it's a Pixel problem or if it's a problem with that particular app. So I've had trouble with Instagram just freezing up on me and crashing. I've had trouble with only certain things in Facebook not working and just the loading wheel keeps spinning. But like I don't know. Is that a Pixel thing? Is that because of the app? I'm not sure. But overall, I've been happy with the Pixel. Let's see. All right, so Sri Ganesh says, I'm learning Angular. Will it be difficult to switch to React later? I don't really know from experience because I did very little with Angular before I started learning React, but I assume that someone who is capable of learning Angular is certainly capable of learning React. So there may be certain concepts that will be more difficult if you're used to Angular. And this is just my guess. I'm not 100% sure, but if you're intelligent enough and able to learn enough to do one framework, to switch to a different library like React shouldn't be a big problem. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But like anything, it's just going to take practice. It's going to take effort and time. Evo says, just joined in and I was wondering how the Pomodoro timer helps you besides not going too long. One of the unexpected helps of using Pomodoro timer to break up my work is that I do my 25-minute session and then I take my break. In that break time, sometimes so I try not to think about what I'm doing. So sometimes I'll think about something else and it just puts my work in perspective and it stops me from spending too much time on one task that maybe isn't that important. So I don't know if this has happened to any of you, but occasionally I'll get stuck on some problem and I'll keep working at it and working at it for hours trying to fix this problem. But in reality, the problem isn't that important, and I could just do like a workaround or just remove that feature or do something different, and it would have saved a lot of time. And in the big picture, it probably would have been better just to do it that way. So that 5-minute break really allows me to recognize when I'm in a situation like that a lot faster than I normally would, and just kind of switch things up. So to me, that's been a big benefit, other than the obvious time management benefits that you get from, the Pomodoro technique. So, anyway, I should really do a video on Pomodoro at some point on my channel. So, if it's not already on my list, maybe I'll add it. Gerardo says, do you think it's worth fixing GitHub commits? For a side project for myself, I never bother fixing GitHub commits. Occasionally I do. To me, honestly, it depends on who's going to be looking at those commits and what it's for. Really, so I don't have a rule that covers everything. Sorry. But yeah, so it kind of depends, and it depends on how much I messed up the commit. So sorry I can't give you like a rule that would work, but if the commit's really messed up, then yeah, maybe you go back and fix it. But in general, as long as the commit is still readable, it still makes sense. If it's just a small error, I usually just leave it. I mean, it would depend, like, if I was, committing something to a repo that had pretty strict rules about it, obviously I would want to fix it. Gerardo says, I have 2 accounts, work and home, and my work ones are not reflected as being mine. I have to patch the entire repos. I'm afraid I might end up ruining everything. Huh. Yeah. I'm not sure how to handle it. I don't know. Anybody else have any advice for that? I'm sorry, Gerardo. I'm trying to think. I'm also I'm trying to get all the questions in too, and I have just a few more minutes to do that. So if I had more time, maybe I'd think about it a bit more. Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to try to get credit for what you're doing. Let's see. Let me look at some of the other questions. If I have time, I'll come back to that as well. Anna asks, how long have you been coding for? About 5 years. I learned coding, some coding stuff, a lot, longer. I learned it a lot farther back than 5 years. So I started coding in high school in like the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, and but I didn't do a lot with it. But I've been kind of more seriously coding for about the past 5 years. Nikki says, I really like that text to the left, image to the right. The text is what's actually important. The image is there for extra flavor. Oh, that's a good way to put it. You know what? I like that. Now that you say it, it makes perfect sense. I'm sure, like, I picked up on, hey, I like this, but it didn't, like, come to me that's why I like it. But now that you say it like that, that's exactly right. The emphasis is on the right part of the content. Let's see. Mert says, why did freeCodeCamp always put emphasis on the front end? For this stream in particular, I mean, I'm a front end developer, although I do some back end stuff, from time to time. So that's why I emphasize front end stuff, because that's most of what I do. freeCodeCamp in general, I don't know. Do they emphasize front end more? I'd have to go back and check. I mean, I know their challenges, certainly they have challenges for back end. in their YouTube videos, it might be the case that front end gets emphasized more. But I guess I just never really thought about it. So I don't know that, as far as I'm concerned, there's no effort on my part to emphasize front or back end. I just do what I have to do for work, and I try to stream as much as I can. Of course, both are very important for web development. Let's see. All right, so I am going to have to go here in just a minute or two. Gerardo, I guess I still don't have a great answer for your situation. My thing is, is there any way, you say you have two accounts, your work account and your home account. I'm assuming these are GitHub accounts, right? Is there any way, does your work account have your name on it, associated with it? If so, then you would be getting credit for your projects on your work account, right? Is there any way, when you want to let people know what you worked on, that you could have both of your accounts listed? Obviously it's not ideal, but at least you would have the benefit of getting credit for what you're doing without having to change anything or potentially mess up, any repos. So I don't know if that's an option for you, but maybe, I don't know, maybe that could work. Mert says, that's what I feel. This is a follow-up to the front-end emphasis question. Mert says, that's what I feel when I follow the instructions on the site. Thanks for answering my question. Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, sorry I couldn't answer it, more fully. I really don't have anything to do with the creating of the curriculum and all the challenges. So I can't answer for sure what the thinking was before that, for that part of it. The curriculum is, I guess, like the next version of it is coming out soon. So maybe things might be different then. I'm not sure, but you might want to check it out when the new version comes out as well and see if there's more balance between front end and back end. All right, so my calendar is reminding me that I need to leave in 1 minute. Oh, okay, now it's reminding me that I need to leave now. So thank you all so much for watching, and thanks for all your help and all your questions. And I should be back. I'll probably be back tomorrow. I'm going to start having a lot more meetings than normal this week and then next week. So the times that I stream might be a little off. I may not be able to stream every day, but I'll do my best to fit them in. And so until next time, have a wonderful day.